Well, hello there, folks. How are you? It's Kenneth James Kerr once again, and thank you so much for joining me today in the video library. I do appreciate you being here today. Now, I'm going to ask you to do something. If you are enjoying the book, if you are enjoying these videos in the video library, if this experience is of value to you, tell somebody about it. Share it with somebody. Tell them about the book. Encourage them to get a copy. Tell them about the videos. Encourage them to join the video library. Because together, as we reach out to other people, we can reach out as a wave that will make an impact that can enlighten, enrich, and encourage people along the journey of life. Now, today, that is not just some kind of a sales pitch. It also has application to the vignette that we're going to talk about. The vignette is vignette number 8. And once again, if you have the hardback, it's page 22. If you have the paperback, it is page 16. Here's what the quotation says. If you are leaving a wake anyway in the ocean of life, make it powerful, positive, and prominent. Let me say it again. If you are leaving a wake anyway in the ocean of life, make it powerful, positive, and prominent. Today we're going to talk about wakes. You've probably seen wakes unless you live in the middle of a landlocked place, a bit like we do actually, out here in the middle of Saskatchewan, but I digress. You probably have seen wakes, whether it's a wee tiny wake on a boating lake, or whether it's a massive wake left by a massive ship as it goes past you at a harbour. When I think of wakes, I think of several. I think, for example, of when I was living beside Loch Ness. And sometimes a boat would go across the loch and the wake would generate, and even 10, 15, 20 minutes later, you could still see the ripples at a very, very low level on the water. And sometimes it would look like they were turning over on themselves, and sometimes people would say, "Oh, I've just seen the Loch Ness Monster." Well, on that occasion, sorry, it was just the wake of a ship. But when I really want to focus on the idea of a wake, I'll tell you what I think about. I remember going on a cruise on a gorgeous ship called the Carnival Dream. Now, this was back in, what year? 2012. And we decided to go on a cruise, my wife and daughter and I. And so we booked the cruise and we went down into the Caribbean and got to enjoy some amazing sights, some amazing experiences, see some beautiful, beautiful parts of the world. And of course, I explored the whole ship. Everywhere I could go to, I went to. As far forward, as far back, as high up, as far down. Now, obviously, there were some areas of the ship I couldn't see. They were off limits to the passengers, just as some areas are off limits to the crew, right? I mean, they have this clear division. But for me, one of the most interesting spots, one of my favourite spots, was at the very, very, very back of the ship, going as far back to the stern as I could go. And one of the things that absolutely captivated me, even out there in the middle of the Caribbean Sea, was the wake that the ship was leaving. At times I would just stand there and look out at this thing, and it just seemed to stretch on and on and on and on forever. Really, it was incredible. And you could see the water churning. And it was almost luminous. That's what got me. It almost looked as if the water itself was shining. I was absolutely captivated by it. Now, I'm going to show you what I mean, because I took a bunch of the photographs from that trip and turned it into a book just for me. And if you take a look at that shot, okay, you can just make out the wake in the back, right? And it absolutely fascinated me. It really did. Absolutely fascinated me. So wakes. Wakes, we've all seen them, and perhaps you've also experienced them. Why? Because a wake leaves an impact. I mean, if you're on a boat and you suddenly find yourself in the wake of another ship, at the very least you're going to rock around, right? And if you're in a tiny boat and you go into the wake of a very, very, very large ship, well, it might not be so pleasant. So we've all seen wakes. Perhaps we've experienced them, and at the very, very least we can conceptualize of them. A wake says a ship has been this way. Something has travelled these waters. Now let's take a look at that quotation again. If you are leaving a wake anyway in the ocean of life, you are leaving a wake. We are travelling an ocean. Oh, just like a ship travelling from one place to another along those massive, great, big, impressive, incredible waters around our planet, just like that, you and I are moving through the ocean of life. And as we go through the ocean of life, as we live our life, we are leaving behind us a wake. Now, we don't have a choice over that. We don't. There is no option as to whether or not we are leaving a wake. Absolutely none. We are. It's non-negotiable. We are here. We are moving through life by virtue of our very existence, and by virtue of those realities, we are leaving a wake behind us. Even if you're a complete hermit, to some level, there's a wake being left behind you. It's the impact, just like that impact of the waves on other ships, it's the impact of our thoughts, the impact of our beliefs, the impact of our attitudes. And if someone says, how can these things that seem to be internal to me have an impact on other people? Simple. Because any thought, any belief, any attitude that you have, that you hold long enough, will be expressed through your actions. And those actions will influence and impact and touch upon the lives of other people. So when you take a look at your life, you are leaving a wake. So am I. Your thoughts, your beliefs, your attitudes, your corresponding and resulting actions, the way in which you deal with other people, the things that you say, the things that you do, the way that you behave, all of these things are leaving a wake behind you, just as surely as the wake of the carnival dream that you just saw in that photograph. You can't help it. You can't help yourself in this regard. It is part and parcel of life. Now here's the other part of that quotation. If you're leaving a wake anyway in the ocean of life, make it powerful, positive, and prominent. There's something very, very important in those two words, make it. You see, you can't stop yourself making a wake. That's going to be there. But you can make the wake according to choices. You can choose what kind of wake you're going to leave behind you. You can't choose that you're going to leave one, that you're going to make one, but you can certainly choose its nature and the type of impact that you want that wake to have. That's very, very, very important to realize that you have a choice. So the question might be, what kind of wake have you left up till now? Well, you just need to look backwards, don't you? I mean, like, what kind of wake is that ship leaving? Well, I went to the back of the ship. Oh, yeah, there's the wake. Well, it's the same with you and I. What kind of wake have you left up till now? Well, stop for a moment, take a look back over your history and ask, the choices that I've made up to now, what kind of an impact have they had on myself? Have my choices, have my actions, have my behaviours been good for me? Have they allowed me to up my game, or have they held me back like shackles and chains and brought me down? It's part of your wake up till now. What has the wake been like for other people? What have my thoughts, actions, choices, behaviours, etc. done to other people? How have I impacted them? Have I left the orbit of other people with leaving those people better or worse than they were when they entered my orbit, when they entered my wake? What am I doing for the world? What am I doing for my community? You see, if you want to take a look at what influence you've had, you look backwards. But here's something very, very, very important. The moment that you and I say that we are going to choose to make a better wake, that's the moment that we break free from the wake of the past. Why? Because the wake does not steer the ship. The wake only shows where the ship has been and the direction that the ship has been taking. And the captain of the ship only needs to change direction, and then you look back at the wake and you say, oh, the wake was doing this, now it's doing this. And you and I are exactly the same. Yes, we can see evidence of our wake in the past by looking at our personal history, but that doesn't need to shackle us. Just because our wake has looked one way doesn't mean that that's how it has to be forever. It does not steer our ship, we steer our ship. And so again, I ask you, up to now, you can see the wake that you've had, yes, but what kind of wake do you want to leave? What kind of legacy do you want to leave? What kind of impact do you want to make from this moment on? Now that is a choice. Somebody says, well, you know what, I like to live a quiet life. I don't really want to make too many ripples, I'm just leave me be, let me live my life. I'll just, quiet life. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing. That's your choice, isn't it? That is entirely your choice. I've met people like that over the years, and you've met people like that over the years, and you might even be one of those type of people, and that's fine. Nobody else has a right to make a judgment call on your choice if you want to just stay under the radar and live a quiet, unassuming life, a peaceful life. For some people, that's exactly what they want, and more power and blessing to them and to you if that's the kind of life that you want to live. That's fine. Then your wake might be less prominent. It might be less powerful, but guess what? You're still leaving one. Just because you don't make an impact on the world doesn't mean you're not making an impact on your family or your close friends. We're still leaving a wake. It'll just be a quieter one. But if that's what you want, that's fine. Or you might decide, as we've said in that quotation, to make it powerful, positive, and prominent. So let's talk about that for just a moment. Let's decide, or let's say that you've made the decision to say, I'm going to leave a powerful wake. Well, then what makes it powerful? The amount of speed and the amount of energy and the amount of motion that the ship makes. You can have a huge big ocean liner, but if it's sitting at the dock, there isn't any wake. It's when it gets into motion, it's when it starts moving, and the faster it goes and the more power it's exerting, the bigger the wake. So you might say, I am going to leave a powerful wake behind me. I am going to make a difference. And so you may decide in your local community, for example, to join a committee. Join the Economic Development Committee. Join the Chamber of Commerce, become a lion, you know, whatever it may be, run for office, whatever it may be. You may say, I'm going to start locally and I am going to create a powerful wake. Why? Because I'm going to move into action. I'm going to make a splash. And if that's your choice, then by golly, go for it. Another part of it there is positive. It's not just the magnitude of the wake that you've decided you're going to make, it's the character of it. Don't leave behind you a wake of destruction. In aviation, and some of you may have noticed, I always have my Chipmunk aircraft behind me. In aviation, when a big aircraft takes off, there's turbulence comes off the wings. They call it wake turbulence. And if you take off too soon behind it, you're in trouble. The wake turbulence off an aircraft might be so great that it overrides your wings' ability of your aircraft to create a balanced lift, and it might flip you over, and then you're really in trouble. Don't leave a wake of destruction behind you. Make a decision that your wake is going to be of a positive nature. That it's going to be the kind of wake that moves in a positive forward direction to make a positive difference in your life and in the life of your family members and the life of your friends and the life of your community. I mean, again, it's up to you, isn't it? But make it positive. That means inner reflection. That means inner awareness. That means discernment. That means judgment. That means decision. That means character. That means saying, I know that I'm leaving a wake, so I'm going to make sure it's positive. That the influence I have on other people that come into my wake, come into my orbit, that my personal history from this moment on will be such that it is a positive nature. That's your choice. It begins today. And the third one, prominent. Again, it's your choice. Again, no judgment call for people who say, I just want to live my life quietly and not make a stir, not make a splash. That's fine. Or you may say, you know what? I'm going to make sure the world knows that I was here. But again, make sure that it's a good impact. The world knows that Hitler was here. The world also knows that Mother Teresa was here. And if you say, I want people to know that I'm here, I want it to be prominent, again, you may start locally. You may say, yeah, I'm just going to, make sure people know who I am and what I'm doing locally. As I say, run for office, serve on a committee, join a service organization, join a church and serve, whatever it may be, right? And then you might say, I'm going to up my game. I'm going to go for regional. I'm going to go for national influence. I'm gonna be an influencer. Good Lord, these days you can be an influencer sitting in front of a camera like this in your bedroom and making a blog, a vlog, and being an influencer on the internet. I mean, it's so easy these days to be an influencer, to have a prominent wake if you decide to make that wake prominent. So again, you don't have a choice about making a wake. You don't. You're here, you're alive, you're moving through the ocean of life, and by virtue of those realities, you are leaving a wake behind you. And it is influencing other people. It is impacting the lives of other people. Again, unless you're a total hermit. And you look back over your life and you say, there's the impact that my life has had. There's the legacy that I've left. Is that the legacy I want to leave? Then by golly, I'm going to change it from here. Or make more of it from here. Make it better from here. And you may choose indeed to make it powerful, positive, and prominent. The choice is yours. And I encourage you simply to take a look at your life today. And especially in light of all the stuff our world has been through in the last few years, and to say, what can I do now to make a positive difference? And as I said at the beginning, we are doing our best to leave a wake in the ocean of life through this book, through these videos, to make a difference that can be powerful, positive, and prominent. And maybe today you can be a part of that by telling somebody else about what we're doing and inviting them to the website to check it out. May you have a wonderful day today. May you reflect on your life in a good way today, make good choices today, and leave a wake behind you from this moment on that truly you can be proud of. This is Kenneth James Kerr, and I'll see you in the next video.